Live and from coast to coast, it's On a Roll, America's only live weekly radio talk show on life, disability, and human potential.
On a roll, on a roll, on a roll, I'm on a roll.
On a Roll is straight talk about maximizing life, celebrating disability culture, sharing resources, and connecting America's largest minority group. And now occupying the best parking space in syndicated radio, the wheelchair dude with attitude, the hip crip who gives you tips. On a Roll Radio's host and founder, Greg Smith.
On a Roll is brought to you by the GM Mobility Center and by iCan.com. Every now and then we just dedicate an hour to profiling people that are doing really good things in the disability community, and this is our profile hour today. First up, we're going to bring you a guy named Simon Illa. Simon Illa. He's a wheelchair user, has been doing music production for a long time, and he's really starting to make some noise on the hip-hop scene, based in Philadelphia. And he's not the typical hip-hop guy that you would expect. He's about 3 feet tall, white, and uses a wheelchair. And his motto is they're going to have to build a ramp at the Grammys. And when you hear some of this music, you'll see that that's not too far off base. We'll talk about Simon Illa, his career, his aspirations, how he does what he does, and we'll play some of the music for you. That's Simon Illa. Let's listen to a little bit of it first. Ladies and gentlemen, this is from a 3-foot white guy in a wheelchair. Simon Illa, I'm going to let it play in the background. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Man, when I got that and put it in, I started nodding my head, and my kids started dancing and saying, "Who is this?" And then I showed them your picture, and they're like, "No way, Dad."
That's usually the reaction I get.
Hey, man, tell me, this is a song called Onyx? Or it's by a guy named Onyx, or what's the deal there?
Yeah, it's a hip-hop group, Onyx, who came out in the early 90s. They just came out with a new album, and that was a remix I did for their single, Slam Harder.
Yeah, Onyx or Vince Carter.
Yep, that's right.
Man, there's so much I want to talk to you about, but first of all, I want to get into talking a little bit about what you do. I mean, you're a producer, you run the board, you kind of assemble the music, you are in charge of, the sound, the melody, all that stuff. But I want you to tell me what a music producer does, because I know you're not rapping there.
No, no, that doesn't happen. Actually, really the way I look at production is the way I look at it, and I've been doing it for a while, is to take a project or a song from beginning to end. Whether that's creatively, I do most of the composition that I do, through MIDI sequencing and Pro Tools Studio software, all those things with composition, up to actually working with artists in the studio, getting the vocals, and actually more recently, luckily, I don't have to run the boards as much. We have a for-hire engineer in whatever studio we're working out of, and they get to do all that, which is kind of new to me, but I'm getting used to it. I kind of enjoy that. So I get to focus on being creative and getting the best performance, out of the artist that I'm working with.
Right, so you're the one saying, "Cut, let's do it again, I'm not feeling it there," hit that note a little bit higher.
Yes, there's a lot of people that heard me say that a million times.
Say what?
That wasn't good enough. We got to do it again. But it's good though. It's how you get the best out of people.
When people see you, is there an adjustment? I mean, 3 feet tall, in a power wheelchair, white guy, and dressed up like anybody in hip hop. I mean, is there a jaw-dropping experience at first?
Yeah, there is. It depends on what way it plays out, really. And the way I prefer it to play out, which it does a lot in this industry, is that cats in the industry will hear my production, what I've done, who I'm working with. I prefer it that way, to hear what I'm doing first and get the buzz going. They say, this is Cat, Simon from Philly. Everybody knows Simon. Everybody, who's Simon. And then when they meet me, that to me is just the kicker.
Because if they haven't heard everything about you, but just heard your work,
Right.
and then they meet you, then the jaws drop, I would imagine. Huh?
Exactly. And I mean, it's the other way around. If they meet me first, I get a lot of, yeah, right. Before they even hear anything, they're like, yeah, whatever.
So they underestimate you.
Oh, it happens. It happens. It happens.
Wow,
It happens.
man. So who are you working with?
Well, most recently, of course, you had there the Onyx remix. I did a remix with Floetry, who's a great group. They're out of Europe, but they're relocated in Philly. I just did some tour work with Vivian Green, who is excellent artist. She's out on a world tour right now. Oh, geez. There's so many people.
Are you getting a lot of? Are you rising? I mean, I saw huge articles in the Philly paper about you recently, and are you rising? You starting to get the notoriety you think you deserve?
It's getting there. I'm actually. It's actually become overwhelming in the past year or so. I've only been in Philadelphia 2 years.
Where are you from?
Originally Illinois.
Whereabouts in Illinois?
Small town in Illinois called Paris, Illinois.
Paris.
Yeah,
Okay.
about 10,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I made a big jump here. But the 2 years I've been here, I had the great opportunity to work with some very prominent artists. I have music on a couple of DVDs. I'm doing music for video games, soundtracks. I just did agreed to an admin deal with Warner Brothers, with publishing administration. They're really behind me 100%. So I couldn't really ask for more right now. It's really great.
Wow, man. That's exciting. Simon Illa is our guest, and if you have a question about the music industry, about his career, about his disability, and how he doesn't accept the label that society wants to place on him, he's ripped that label off and written his own, and including the theme line, they're going to have to build a ramp at the Grammys. Do you have that posted anywhere in your office? I mean, I just love that line.
Actually, well, no, I don't really have it posted in my office. It's just, it's just the little things like that made me think, as many times as I've seen the Grammys and as many industry functions as I attend, I'm a member of the Recording Academy, and I thought about, I'm like, these people have to walk up these steps, where's the ramp at,
Right.
And it's just kind of an inside joke, but, I'm pretty confident they're going to have to do that pretty soon.
For you. For you.
Yeah, for me or for anybody else, I think it'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope it's me, that'd be good, but,
Well,
anybody else, break the mold.
What's it going to take?
It's gonna take a couple of hit records under my belt, definitely. But I do have the confidence that I'm pretty well on my way with the contacts I've made and the people I know and the people that know me and the places I'm getting to is really, I never really thought it would happen the way it has happened. This is, a little more than I really thought it would be, but this is what I wanted, and there's no stopping. We've gone too far now.
When we come back, I want to talk more about your life, and I know you've been through a lot of tough times as a child. I want to get that out and maybe how that influences your music. But first of all, the name, Simon Illa. What's the foundation of that name?
Actually, when I was producing with a record label in Indiana a few years ago, some artists that I work with, we'd always talk. We have good, close relationships. We work together. And we started talking about this movie, Simon Birch. I'm sure a lot of people have seen it.
Yeah, I've seen that movie.
And so for a friend of mine, this artist I produce, goes by the name EDC, who I'm still producing now. He said, you like that guy Simon in the movie, but you're ill. And then, how artists are, they're crazy. And he's like, Simon Illa, like like being like the sickness, like hip hop term being sick is good. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And they're like Simon Illa is a lot more catchy than my real name, and it kind of stuck. And it really sticks out here because a lot of people that really actually don't know my real name, which is fine. They're like, oh, I love your last name, Illa.
Illa.
Which is great though. Which is it's cool to me. I use it to my advantage. But Simon Illa is very, very memorable, or at least it's become, a very memorable name to people. It's a lot easier to remember. It stands out a little bit more.
Now, Simon Illa is our guest. He's making some noise on the hip-hop scene. 3 feet tall, white guy in a wheelchair, and turning heads in the quality of his work. I mean, hey. That could be a hit record. Who is that artist, Simon?
Actually, that's a pop artist that I'm producing out of Philly. Goes by the name Erica, who is actually working with Pep Soul Entertainment, and also Chris Schwartz, who used to run Rough House Records, who had the Fugees and Lauryn Hill and artists like that.
Who are you inspired by?
Ooh, I knew that one was coming. I don't, I couldn't really pinpoint it. There's so much, good music. I mean, and as far as that and career-wise, there's so many people out there really doing their thing, that can be looked up to. I couldn't really give you one person, creatively or professionally.
Why don't you rap?
I really don't know. I really don't. I mean, I had thought about it before from a marketing standpoint. I'm always thinking that way. And, I definitely have a distinct voice. People hear my voice once, they remember me, and they see my picture once, and they remember me. And I could definitely use that to my advantage, but I don't feel that that's my strong point. I feel musically the musical aspect is where I feel comfortable, and I like being behind the scenes and working with artists. I'm not really into the artists, that kind of mode of thinking. I can't say I couldn't do it. I think I probably could, but it's just not really something I aspire to.
Man, from listening to your music, I would have wondered how many days you go by without seeing white people. That's a joke. That's a joke.
You're right, though. No, I'm kidding.
But I mean, yeah, why R&B? Why hip hop? I mean, were you raised around a lot of black people, or is it just the music that you like?
Yeah, oddly enough, I grew up in a predominantly, if not all white, Midwest farming town, which was strange. But when I was young, just those influences came to me somehow. I was a young kid listening to Lionel Richie,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure my grandparents thought that was strange, in hip hop, and I just knew there was something about the music that I really loved, and I really respect and appreciate and have done all kinds of records,
Mm-hmm.
not just R&B and rap. I've done pop and country and whatever, because I think great music is great music, but that's really where my heart is creatively, is just hip hop. Is just something that's in me. I can't really explain it.
Interesting. Now, you've had some tough times in your background. Your mother was killed in front of you, shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your father killed himself.
Yes.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
What did that do in terms of making you somebody that wants to express themselves?
The way I look at that, and I think what that really did, I don't like to say to me, but for me, in a way, to is realize, not only creatively. I think as I had mentioned, I think they had mentioned this in the article that came out in Philly, that those kind of things I don't see consciously to influence what I do musically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe they do subconsciously. I don't do a lot of depressing music, but if I may, one thing that I do get from what transpired with my parents was that it really made me look at life, and not just, I don't like the term disability, but my situation, I guess I'd call it,
Yeah.
and think, for anybody, that life can be and is very short, no matter what your situation is. You never know, and that I didn't want to live, and people get a 9-to-5 job because they think they have to, or this is the way it's supposed to be, instead of really listening to what is going to make them happy and what they really love to do, and not to be corny here, but to really live what you dream that you want to do.